Going on, everybody? It's your boy Broadway Joel, the voice of Dominican boxing. And man, that press conference between David Benavidez and David Morrell definitely got me excited for the fight. There was a bunch of videos was happening in the background where they were pushing and shoving, screaming at it. Well, not screaming at each other, kind of like testing each other, man. And I'm excited for this fight. Benavidez is for sure a great fighter. One I see talent in. The same thing with David Morrell. A lot of people been wanting to see them fight Canelo, and one of the things that Canelo used to always say that I would agree, it was like, all right, you guys want me to fight all these guys, but none of them want to fight each other. Now that's not the case. Benavidez fought Plant. Yes, it was after Canelo, but he fought him nonetheless. And now he's fighting Morrell. So I gotta give the guy respect. I'm excited for it. One thing I've been seeing on Twitter is people kind of making it seem like Benavidez punked David Morrell at the press conference. I didn't see that. Maybe you guys did, but I ain't see it. I ain't see it that way. I saw it kind of like there was going back and forth, a little bit of a how do I say, language barrier. Not that they both speak English and Spanish, but when David Morrell speaks English, he has an accent, and when he speaks Spanish, he has a deep Cuban accent. So there was some misunderstanding from both of them. But man, I'm really excited for this fight, and I'm glad that this is an Amazon fight. That man, this is gonna be how do I say? This is looked at as a big competitive fight between two young guys in their prime. Nobody's gonna say, "Oh, the other guy's old," or "the other guy's weight drained," or there's none of those excuses leading into this fight. This is a fight where some people see Benavidez as winning and some people see as Morrell winning. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here to see. We're here to see the best fight the best. And if people think that this is a 50-50 fight, let's get more of these. Let's get more of these. And the best part about it is that the winner of this fight is probably going to be a double mandatory to the current undisputed champion and Artur Beterbiev. You know what I'm saying? So that's also looming in the background. Also, the winner, who knows, maybe Canelo musters up enough courage to fight one of them. I'm truly excited, not only for this fight, but for the potential of what the winner could do. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking the winner can make some noise. And I'm actually hoping the winner makes some noise, because this you should when you take a risk like this and fighting another young hungry lion. And I believe they both under, I think Morrell's 26 and Benavidez is 25. Let me hold on. Let me before I say that to you guys. I just want to double check that. I'm hoping that is, yeah. So Morrell is 26, which is in his prime. That's dead smack in your prime, the best you ever gonna be for the most part. You know what I'm saying? In terms of age wise, and Benavidez is actually older. I said he was 25. He's actually 27. So these guys are currently in their prime, and the fight is not spoiled. The fight is not a fight we wanted to see 5 years ago, and it's finally happening now, but it's a little too late. And one guy got knocked out. Both guys are still undefeated. Both guys still in a prime. Both guys had one fight at 175 and didn't look so good in their last fight. So this seems a lot closer, a lot more 50-50 than people trying to make it out to be. I see a lot of people picking Benavidez, and listen, picking Benavidez is not a bad choice. If you forcing me to pick, I'll probably pick Benavidez as of right now, but I could definitely see Morrell winning. I just don't. I see people thinking this is going to be as one-sided, a one-sided match, which I don't see. Man, I'm super duper excited for this fight, and I definitely think that the winner is going to make some noise. The winner of this fight is going to make some noise in the division, and what better way than to take out another young hungry lion? I'm really excited for it. On the undercard too, by the way, for my Dominican fans, shout out to Dominican boxing. Jason Rosario is gonna fight on that undercard. Jason Rosario, I don't think he has too much left in the tank, just being honest with you, just based off what we've seen in his last fight, where his defense was just atrocious. But I'm hoping he figured some things out. He worked some things out and shook off the rust, where now he can fight Ramos, who is a good fighter. Lost to Lubin in a close fight. Many people thought he won. I actually was okay with that decision, believe it or not. Believe it or not, I was following Twitter. I was watching that fight at a bar, and Twitter was saying how much they thought Ramos was winning. And I was seeing it at the bar, and I knew Lubin was winning. So, like in the 8th or 9th round, I bet the decision. He was like super plus money, and I ended up getting a good chunk of change. I thought Lubin won that fight good. Um, Listen, Jason, he's a power puncher, but how much of the athleticism, how much of the defense, of the awareness, how much of the fighting spirit is still in him? I don't know, man. He did not look good at all in his last fight. I'll be honest with you. He took way too much punishment. His defense was nowhere near the level I think a professional fighter, who's doing big things or gonna do big things. I don't think it was at the level that it should be. So I am a little concerned for Rosario's health. But hey, who knows? Maybe that last fight was what he would needed to shake off the rust, and now he's killing the game. Who knows? That could be the case. But I'm just happy he's getting an opportunity. I did want him to retire after his last fight, but hey, man, if he's giving it another go, I'm definitely gonna root for him and hope he wins. He is somebody who gave me an interview before and shared his story, how he had a really rough upbringing, and if he could cap it off by getting another upset here, kind of like how he got an upset against Julian Williams and working his way to a world title shot, that'll be amazing, man. That'll be amazing. But we'll see. We'll see. This is a tough sport. This is a tough sport. I also wanted to touch base on the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. Now, I didn't I haven't spoken about this fight since it happened, so I definitely wanted to address this today. So Jake Paul, we all saw he beat Mike Tyson by decision, and man, and Mike looked terrible, man. His legs looked absolutely like he just couldn't move. He came with like a knee sleeve on. He said that maybe he had an injury, but he was there. He wasn't trying to make no excuses. But man, Mike looked terrible, terrible. Like he had no business being in that ring. At least that's how he looked to me. You know what I'm saying? So, but believe it or not, I think that event was good for boxing because boxing doesn't have a super duper international slam dunk superstar like Mike Tyson anymore. You know what I'm saying? We got Canelo, who's a big star, big superstar, but he was never Mike's level. Mike level is, Ali, Mayweather, Joe Louis. There's certain few guys that's touched that level of fame. And the fact that they possibly opened up the relationship with Netflix to stream boxing. I know this was a huge event, but maybe this is not a one-off. Yo, Top Rank's contract with ESPN ends in August, and I don't think they're gonna renew. If Jake Paul has opened that door of boxing on Netflix and Top Rank snags that opportunity, that could be big. Or who knows, maybe Jake Paul gets a deal and he puts his own cards there. We've seen what he's done for Amanda Serrano. Amanda Serrano, a female boxer who, let's be honest, before Jake Paul got into her life, she was relatively unknown. And now she got paid basically almost $7 million for her last fight against Katie Taylor. So that's definitely good for her. You get what I'm saying? He brought 60 million viewers to Netflix. And by the way, the event itself was good. Besides the main event, which we addressed, Mike is 58 years old. I'll be honest with you. I thought he had a lot more left. I figured he was old, but man, he really did. He just had zero left in the tank. You get what I'm saying? So, but besides the main event, it was a great event. The Mario Barrios fight was a war. Both got dropped, and it ended in a draw. And then the Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor fight was just an absolute war, a brutal war where they exchanged punches. all the way to the end. You get what I'm saying? The decision, I probably would have gave it to Amanda Serrano, but that's just one of those fights, man. It's a close fight. Like it could have gone either way, but that fight right there would have never been seen had it not been on that Mike Tyson undercard. Mike Tyson, Jake Paul undercard. It would have never been ever seen by this many eyeballs. I remember going to work and people telling me how the fight between the girls were good. They didn't say the name, but they said the fight between the girls were good. That was the best fight in the card. That was exciting. And boy, was it. It really was. Apart if you like women's boxing or not, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not somebody who follows women's boxing as much as I should, I'll say. But man, that was a war. That was undoubtedly an entertaining fight that anybody who likes boxing and likes watching fights is gonna tell you that was a good fight. So that again, he brought that. Jake Paul brought that to the table. Another thing I like that Jake Paul did was actually what he didn't do was knock out Mike Tyson. Because listen, the way Mike Tyson legs were looking, Jake could have stopped him, and he chose not to. He chose to, just let him go. You know what I'm saying? Because and Mike a legend, man, saying he deserved that. And one of the things I didn't like was Logan Paul was when Mike Tyson was like, yo, maybe me and Logan Paul could do it next. And Logan Paul goes, man, I would fuck you up or something like that, or I would kill you or something like that. I'm like, you talking to a legend like that? And maybe it's an age thing. Like in my lifetime, I never in my life thought somebody, especially a YouTuber, would come up to Mike and tell him, yo, I would fuck you up. Like the amount of disrespect I felt for Mike was crazy, man. And somebody should have checked his ass, but whatever. It is what it is. It's a new era, and to be fair, Tyson was kind of calling him out. So somebody calls you out, you can't really get told how to respond. But I just feel like with a legend like that, you take the high road. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't feeling that. I wasn't feeling the way he talked to him. But I did like that his brother didn't knock out Mike Tyson, and we created this huge event for boxing. And listen, and Mike, although I'm sure he's not hurting for money, he made a lot of money then that he wouldn't have made had he not fought. So I definitely respect it. The fight did the highest gate outside of Las Vegas ever. So it was a financial success. It was a viewer success because Netflix at one point was crashing because they weren't anticipating this many people live streaming the fight. So it was a success. And I think Jake Paul is good for boxing. Believe it or not, I think Jake Paul is good for boxing. He is bringing eyeballs to fighters that normally would not have eyeballs on them. He's creating big events, and he's different. And I think a lot of the times with boxers and boxing in general is that everybody's the same. Oh, you come from this poor background, and fighting was the only thing you knew how to do, and that's how you became a world champion. And this guy is coming at it from a whole different angle, promoting a female boxer, which back when female boxing wasn't what it is now. So I'm definitely respect Jake Paul, and I appreciate what he's doing for the sport. He is good for boxing. Now, some things he does I don't like, but you got to take the good with the bad and the bad with the good. So overall, I'm gonna say Jake Paul is good for boxing. But everybody's saying like who they want to see Jake Paul fight next, right? And people mentioning real boxers. Oh, I want to see him fight Beterbiev. I want to see him fight Benavidez or Canelo or this, that. But the guy, because I'll be honest with you, Jake Paul doesn't beat those guys I just mentioned. They're just keeping it 100. He doesn't beat them. Sorry. So the guy I would like to see him fight in a boxing match is Alex Pereira from the UFC, the UFC heavyweight. Yo, that dude has a lot of boxing experience, was trained formerly by Fernelli Feliz Sr., Ali Feliz's father. So the guy has a boxing background. He actually also sparred George Arias are Dominican heavyweight. So this guy has boxing experience. I would love to see that fight. And if you think, this would be also a big event. Unfortunately, UFC president Dana White doesn't really mess with Jake Paul, so I doubt the fight will happen. But I think that'll be a big fight and an intriguing fight. One where I don't know who wins. I'll probably lean Pereira, but Jake Paul is more naturally a boxer. It's kind of weird me even saying that, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. Also, some Dominican boxing news I got to report. Rohan Polanco will be fighting. I was told February 14th, but then somebody came back to me and told me it's February 15th. So either the 14th or the 15th of February, he will be fighting in Madison Square Garden again in New York City, man. Supposedly for a regional belt at 147 pounds. So this guy is moving up in weight, which we all wanted him to move up in weight. And then on top of that, he is also fighting in New York City, where we always said that's where they should bring the Dominicans. And hey, listen, Rohan Polanco is going to get a regional belt, going to get ranked most likely in the WBO, and Top Rank currently promotes the WBO world champion at 147. So within a fight or between 2 to 3 fights, Rohan Polanco may be fighting for a belt. And that really, really excites me. But him fighting in New York City, hey, man, the Dominicans got to show out, because if they don't, that will cost them. That will cost them. You get what I'm saying? That he needs to prove that he is a ticket seller in New York City so he can keep getting opportunities and keep getting brought here. Man, Rohan Polanco and Yan Santana are the future of Dominican boxing. I said that right now. Listen, I am all in. Put all my chips in on those two Dominican fighters for the future. Rohan Polanco and Yan Santana. Those guys are absolutely amazing to watch, dedicated, and I think are a lot more powerful than people realize. Like Yan Santana, only one fight he hasn't knocked out his opponent, and it was his first fight in America. It was his first fight on ESPN. You know what I'm saying? It was his first fight on TV, and he came out and he went to war, dropped the guy in the first round, and went to decision. A tough guy too. But let's look at all the other fights, man. Every other fight has been by knockout, and he's fought some tough guys, including his last fight in Eduardo Baez, who only been stopped by Navarrete. Navarrete stopped him in the 6th. Yan Santana did it in 4. So, and then when we look at Rohan Polanco, has he ever looked bad? Has there ever been a performance where you're like, damn, man, he really got a lot to work on? Has there been one like that? Nah, right? In the beginning, when his first fight on ESPN, I didn't see major flaws, but I didn't see anything special. It was only after the first fight on ESPN. After that, he's looked nothing but spectacular. Rohan Polanco, Yan Santana are the future of Dominican boxing. Hold on, let me read the super chat, man. Shout out to my man, the Nobody 92 with the $5 super chat. Salute to you, my brother, always supporting the channel. What's your thoughts on people saying this fight was rigged or fixed? I don't think it was rigged. And I'm assuming you're talking about the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight. I don't think that fight was rigged. I just think Mike Tyson's that old, man. I think Mike Tyson's that old, and it's unfortunate that, us fans, especially Mike Tyson fans, had to see. But you know what I'm saying? I don't think it was fixed. I think Mike Tyson's just that old. Sorry. I wish I had better news to report, but I just think Mike Tyson's that old. Also, news on Carlos Adames. Carlos Adames is rumored to be fighting February 22nd in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, against Shiraz from the UK. That's a fight that's not an easy fight. I'm not sure who's going to be the favorite. Adames has not looked good in his last two performances, especially his last performance. I thought he looked very bad. And in a fight that he almost could have lost, honestly, not according to the scorecards. All three scorecards were very wide for him. But I'm talking about from what I saw, that fight might have gone either way. It was a close fight and a fight that didn't need to be that way. So Adames versus Shiraz, February 22nd. That would, if those two dates hold, Rohan Polanco and Carlos Adames will be back-to-back fights. Also, for that February 15th card, rumored is Ali Feliz is going to be on the card. Rumored that Elvis Rodriguez is going to be on that card. So that's 3 Dominicans off the rip. And who knows, after that performance Yan Santana just had, it may be 4 Dominicans in New York. And if that's the case, I really need to see a Dominican presence in that stadium or in that arena, whatever you want to call it. Shout out to the Nobody 92 with a $5 super chat. He says, how do you see a future fight between Rohan versus Brian Norman Jr. going? Hey, man, I see Rohan winning, to be honest with you. I think this kid's the goods, man. I'll be honest with you. And maybe I'm biased. Maybe, I don't know. I'm just going by what I genuinely feel. And I think this kid is the goods. Does he have a few things to work on? Sure. Nothing alarming. I haven't seen nothing alarming. I am curious to see how he handles bigger guys at 147 because he was fighting at 140. And a lot of times he was, what they say now is weight bullying. That's the term. That's the jargon for somebody who, makes the weight, but then the next day blows up 20, 30 pounds, so, now he's going to be blowing up, but yeah, this other guy may be blowing up too. I mean, he may be the same size. So I want to see how he looks there. And then maybe I can have a more proper assessment as to how he would beat Norman. But just keeping it 100 with you, if we talk about just off talent, if we just talk about just off what we see with our eyes, give me Rohan Polanco all day. All day, Rohan Polanco over Brian Norman. If we talking about, just the talent. Now, I need to see Rohan in a, more fights, especially at the weight. I just need that. I need that. But also, by the way, Alberto Puello, who I think is the best 140-pounder in the division, he will be fighting in March against Sandor Martin, most likely on that Tank undercard, but there's no word on, the date or the venue. But yeah, no, I'm super excited for him because after this mandatory, he will be fighting, Gary Antoine Russell in a rematch, and that all that tells me is that he has 2 fights lined up. You know what I'm saying? And part of the problems with fighters who fight at PBC is staying active. But if you got 2 mandatories, they're going to have to satisfy it before you get stripped. So that's definitely exciting. Puello. So that'll be back-to-back, fights in February with Rohan, February 15th with Rohan, then Adames February 22nd. And then who knows when this Puello fight is. It may be the next month. It may be March 1st. You get what I'm saying? And that's 3 weeks in a row, Dominican boxing. It's interesting. It is interesting what could happen. Rafael says, Broadway Joel, De Los Santos should come back to fight that Venezuelan that he was going to fight in June. Hey, man, I mean, I don't know what his situation. He has said he couldn't talk about it, but that he can't fight until like March, which is when Tank's undercard is. So I don't know. Yeah, sure, why not fight him? Fight that guy. I definitely don't want to see Edwin in against Tank, or I know Tank has a fight, but I'm just saying like Tank or Shakur. Or he needs another fight, possibly 2, to shake the rust off and to get his name up. His buzz really went down because he just disappeared. He stopped coming on the channel. He stopped posting on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? He just kind of disappeared. So he may need a couple fights, not only to one, shake the rust off, which is very important in boxing, but two, get your name out there, get some highlight reel knockouts. Yo, last time he knocked somebody out was Rayo, and that was 2 years ago. You know, it might be 3 by the time he end up fighting. So he needs to get it together in terms of getting in the ring and staying active. But I definitely don't want to see him in against a tough guy right away. So, you know, maybe a decent guy. I'm not saying a complete bum, but you know, let's do something nice, man. Let's do something nice. Yeah, they should throw Elvis in there in February. Yo, bro, hell yeah. Yo, listen to this. Listen to this. You got Elvis Rodriguez potentially could be on that card. Not no rumors. I'm just saying he's on top rank, and the fights in New York. Last time, Rohan fought in New York. Elvis was on the same card, so it's not unreasonable to think he'll be on this card. You know, Yan Santana, he just had a very impressive performance knocking out Eduardo Baez. So I'm assuming, somewhat on the list. And, he's never fought in New York City. He's fought in New York State, in Verona, New York, but not New York City. Ali Feliz, one of them 4-round fights, a heavyweight. We seen Eldy fight on ESPN before. These are potential guys that could be on that card. And if this shit ends up being 4 or 5 Dominicans on one card, I'm expecting all of Dykeman, the Bronx, Newark, Patterson, Los Sure. I'm expecting that shit to pack out with Dominicans. I'm really am. You know what I'm saying? If you're telling me 4 or 5 Dominicans going to be fighting on the same card, especially the names I just mentioned, especially since Rohan is fighting for a regional belt, meaning he's going to be ranked, meaning after this fight, he's going to be in very good position to get a title shot. Bro, I need a lot of Dominicans there, man. I need a lot of Dominicans there. What's your thoughts on De Los Santos versus Schofield? I kind of wish De Los Santos was more active right now, because for me to give a proper assessment. But in terms of, the best I've seen from Schofield versus the best I've seen from De Los Santos, I honestly don't think this is a close fight. I think De Los Santos would knock him out. I know Floyd Schofield Sr., who I have a good relationship with. I know he, is pushing his son. He wants him in big fights, and I just don't think he's quite ready yet. He just, not that he sucks, not that, he just needs more experience. You can have all the professional fights, but he's still only like 22. I don't understand what's the rush. So I definitely want to see, how do I say? I just want to see more. I just want to see more. Dímelo, Broadway Joel. Be well, brother. Enjoyed the presser for both Davids come February 1st. My man Steph, what's going on, bro? It's been a minute, man. It's been a minute since I talked to you. Shout out to you, my brother. Yeah, man. But as far as Schofield, De Los Santos, man, I got De Los Santos winning by knockout. I think that kid needs more experience. He's too young, and he got dropped in his last fight. You know what I'm saying? And anybody could get dropped. I'm saying, like, the moments he's going through now is the moments he should be going through, and I don't think he's still done going through moments like that. For you to throw him in against a guy who has 12-round experience, a guy who has vicious knockout power and good footwork and hand speed. And yeah, I just don't think that's a good look for him, to be honest with you. I really don't. Yo, by the way, as you guys saw, I've been dropping these little clips from my new podcast, my new in-studio podcast that I will be delivering. These interviews will be on another channel. I want to keep that separate. I will be taking clips from my long form interviews and putting them here, but on this channel. But I will be opening up a whole new channel for my in-studio interviews. My in-studio interviews are not going to be only boxing related. It's going to be anybody I find interesting. You get what I'm saying? So I have my first interview. Excuse me. Hold on 1 second. All right, much better. Yeah. So my first interview was with Jose Corpus, which is the only clips I've been releasing. Shout out to Jose Corpus, one of the most boxing knowledgeable people I know. This guy's basically a boxing Wikipedia. I feel is the best way to describe him. Um, yeah, and we had a great interview. And but my next interview after that was a criminal investigative journalist where we talk about crimes that were happening in Washington Heights and all that stuff. And I'm telling you, I'm the type of content I'm gonna be bringing to YouTube, and I'm not even saying my channel. I'm saying just to YouTube in general is content that is needed. I feel like what I'm about to bring to the table is missing, and I think I'm gonna do something very special and very nice, and a lot of people are gonna enjoy this. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm really looking forward for you guys to see him what I got in store with this podcast and who these potential guests I'm gonna have on. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be exciting. Yeah. A top ranked matchmaker said he wouldn't put Keyshawn or Morataya in the ring with De Los Santos. Too dangerous. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. You talk about Brad Goodman. He said that. And I get it. I get it. I mean, to be fair to Brad Goodman, he did say that a long time ago. I think it was like 2 years ago. No, it was a year ago. It was about a year ago he said that. And we seen Keyshawn Davis in his last fight. He's flattened out, Lemos. And so he's developed, he's gained more experience. So, like maybe his position has changed on that. I'm not saying it has or hasn't, but I can't for certain say it hasn't. You get what I'm saying? As far as Morataya, same thing. He's coming off a second round knockout. And he's gained experience. One thing I will say about Morataya is I've seen him on the floor before a little, I've seen him hurt before. I kind of question his chin. I don't question his work ethic or his boxing style. He seems very talented, and I can tell for sure he knows what he's doing in the ring. It's just I've seen him wobble, I've seen him hurt a few times, and it makes me think. It makes me. I'm not saying I'm totally like, yeah, he got no chin. Yeah, anybody can knock this guy out. I'm not saying that, but I'm curious about his chin. I'm curious about his chin. But yeah, no. As far as Keyshawn Davis too, he's the mandatory for Berenchik, so I believe he's going that route. He's gonna fight Berenchik, and he gonna fight for that WBO strap, which is, hey man, shout out to him. This guy, I believe, he has 10 fights, 9 fights. He doesn't have many fights, and he's already a mandatory, and possibly gonna become a world champion. Let's see how many fights he got. 1 second. Yeah. Oh, he's 12-0. My bad. Uh, he's 12-0 with 8 knockouts. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see how he looks against Berenchik if that fight happens. I really am. I really am. Uh, but yeah, man. Oh, hold on. Oh, yeah. How did this slip my mind? What was your thoughts on Farmer versus Zapata? Man, that was a really uh interesting fight, man. Tevin Farmer has a lot more left in the gas tank than people thought, And shout out to Tevin Farmer. He actually gave me a really good interview before. So anytime he fights, pretty much as long as he's not fighting a Dominican, I root for him. So I definitely was rooting for him. And it was a close fight. I thought the right guy won, though. I did think Zapata won the fight, but man, he dropped Zapata. And I'll be honest with you, I want to see Tevin Farmer again. And I still think he gives a lot of people trouble. He's awkward. He's a southpaw. He's aggressive. He has heart. He's smart. I like him a lot, to be honest with you. I think he's a good fighter, and maybe he's not what he once was, but you got to remember, he's just now shaking off cobwebs. He had a good fight against Morataya too. What if now? Because I don't know how old he is. Hold on, before I jump out the window and say something crazy. How old is this guy? Which, by the way, age isn't everything, but it's definitely something. You know what I'm saying? I think he's 34, which is not too old to be honest with you. Yeah, he's 34 years old. That's not too old. And hey man, I would love to see him possibly get another strap. That would be legendary, man. If this guy can mess around and win a belt after being off for so long, that would be nice, man. That would be nice. But yeah, no, Tevin Farmer, man, he put it up a good fight for himself, a good show, a good entertaining fight for the fans. He came to fight when everybody thought Zepeda was just gonna mow him down or overwhelm him. He banged with him, he fought with him, he dropped him. You get what I'm saying? He let him know, like, yo, you in the fight too. So shout out to Tevin Farmer, man. I thought Zepeda won, and I'm okay with the decision, but Farmer definitely represented himself and represented his city of Philadelphia real well. Shout out to him, man. Definitely shout out to him. But yeah, no, there was a lot of fights, man. Zerto fought. Who else fought? This was a good weekend of boxing. Last weekend, it really was. It really was. And as much as people want to be disappointed about the Tyson Jake Paul, just remember 60 million people got on Netflix with the intention of watching boxing. Now you can say this was a circus act and why is this old man fighting and all that. You could look at it from that perspective, and I'm not even going to say you're wrong. But what I'm saying is you got people interested in watching boxing. No matter who's fighting. All right, it's Tyson, it's Jake Paul, is this. All right. But you watch boxing that day, and you watch the girls fight. I mean, I shouldn't say girls. The women fight, Amanda and Katie, which was an entertaining fight and a great representation of what this sport is about. Man, Jake Paul is good for boxing. I want that out there. I want that out there. Until he proves me otherwise, until he switches up, he's good for boxing. And that Benavidez-Morrell is also good for boxing, man. A fight with two real fighters. No YouTubers, neither of these guys are in their 50s, and I'm excited for that fight. So that's another fight. You get what I'm saying? People like to talk about the bad in boxing, but also when you talk about the bad, let's balance it out by talking about the good. And a fight like David Benavidez versus Morrell is good. What Dominicans got cooking up with Jan Santana and Rohan Polanco, that's also good. Like it's we in a good space in boxing. We have our ups and downs, but one thing I know for sure is boxing's always going to be around. What do you think of the pay-per-view card itself? It will be worth 80. You talk about the Benavidez-Morrell fight. You had me a little confused. I thought you was talking about the Jake Paul Tyson. I'm like, that wasn't a pay-per-view. You got Rosario Ramos. I'll be honest with you, I don't look at that as a competitive fight. I think Rosario a little bit past, I want to say a little bit. His last fight, he looked very past it. So there's that. There's what other fights? I slipped my mind. Hold on one second. Check the other fights. I know you got Pitbull, but I forget who's his opponent is. Yeah, you got Pitbull versus Angel Fierro, who, if I'm not mistaken, it didn't Naguita beat this guy? No, it wasn't. It wasn't Naguita. My bad. I thought I'm not too familiar with. I'm trying to see his opponents. Let's see if I recognize any of his opponents. Yeah, I don't remember seeing this guy fight. So I don't really have much to say as far as that fight. And Stephen Fulton versus Brandon Figueroa. Yo, the first fight was a great fight, a 50-50 fight that could have gone either way. And this is for the WBC belt. I'll be honest with you, I'm not that high on Stephen Fulton. I think Benavidez, you hear me? I think Brandon Figueroa is going to win that fight in an entertaining fight, and I think he possibly may stop him. But yo, fellas, I'm gonna keep this one short, man. I actually got to use the bathroom. I got to pee. So instead of just stopping abruptly, man, I'll just stop at the here. I gave you guys 40 minutes. I truly appreciate you guys, especially the Nobody 92 who's always super chatting, man. But I'm excited for this fight, man. I'm definitely excited for this fight in Benavidez-Morrell, and I'm excited for Rohan Polanco and what the future holds for Dominican boxing. But all right, guys, until next time, guys, peace.